One of the things about the spot and this place is this is where Winnemem Wintu people have been coming for thousands and thousands of years. This whole river area, what is now called McLeod, was at one time all Winnemem Wintu people, all up and down the river.
The Winnemem Wintu are one of several bands of the Wintu Native American tribe. Their ancestral land ranges across the McLeod watershed in Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta and the McLeod River are the most prominent geographical features that the tribe has relied on as a habitat and means of survival for past and present generations. The tribe is well known for its cultural practices, which include the regular dances and songs to the McLeod River for its well-being. Since the beginnings of the tribe, they have held prayers among sacred sites along the McLeod River. Winnemem Wintu means the middle water people, and the important spiritual connection of the people to the sacred water and land is currently threatened by commercial industries and disturbance from tourists. This project seeks to focus on the Winnemem Wintu's efforts in conservation of the environment from tourists and commercial industries taking over and abusing their lands. Our main focus will be on the negative impacts of the installment of the Shasta Dam and ways to recover the Winnemem sacred sites. Their sacred land and watershed, along with their cultural beliefs, are being threatened and slowly depleted. The tribe has opposed the intentions to raise the levels of the Shasta Dam because of the government's efforts to flood sacred lands which have already been flooded by the original installment of the dam. This project will analyze and investigate the reasons behind the group's opposition to the privatization of their sacred water and how it is a threat to the traditions and ceremonies of the Winnemem Wintu's ancestral past and future generations.
The Winnemem Wintu have an illustrious history dating back over 6,000 years. They have inhabited the McLeod River region near Mount Shasta for that amount of time. They thrived on salmon and they consider the fish holy. Over the last 150 years, though, they have lost much of their traditional land to the United States government and the state of California. In 1985, they even lost their tribal recognition with the federal government. Where their numbers once numbered about 14,000, they now number only 150.
The Winnemem Wintu are known as the Middle Water People. The watershed of Mount Shasta in Northern California is the traditional land of the Wintu and is considered to be their sacred ancestral home. In their creation story, the Winnemem Wintu come from the sacred spring known as the Panther Spring, located in the Panther Meadows. The Wintu have traditionally held sacred land near the Trinity, Sacramento, and McLeod rivers. Their sacred connection to the land can be found in the spirit of the bubbling spring, the rock outcroppings, and the caves and pools. Currently, with the installment of the Mount Shasta Dam, the Puberty Rock and their sacred sites have been flooded. The Wintu have been forced off of their land, and 20 of the Wintu sacred sites are submerged. Ceremonial areas and historic villages were taken down, and they had to rebury many of their ancestors along the McLeod River.
The Winnemem Wintu faced difficulties when preparing for a ceremony. Tribal headman Mark Franco says, "It's not like we can just move our church elsewhere. This land is our church. If it's flooded, it's gone forever. Water rights, religious rights, tribal rights, salmon rights, and now the right of a young woman to have her puberty ceremony all interweave to form one dense braid of culture interconnection." What the Wintu are inadvertently showing the rest of us is that culture and nature are not inseparable. One cannot survive without the other.
The U.S. Bureau of Reclamation is working in partnership with local agencies to investigate the enlargement of the Shasta Dam and Reservoir to increase the cold water available for maintaining lower Sacramento River temperatures and improving water supply reliability for other beneficial uses. Their study released this week found that a height increase of 18.5 feet to the top of the 600-foot high dam would increase storage capacity of Lake Shasta by 14%. It would also improve hydropower and salmon habitat. The additional storage capacity would be used to improve the reservoir's availability to provide colder water for winter-run Chinook salmon during drought years. Cold water is needed to help salmon that used to migrate to cooler water upstream before the dam blocked their path, according to the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation. It would also increase water supply reliability for agricultural and municipal water uses in the state.
California has its own benefits to why they want to raise the dam. Due to the original build of the Shasta Dam, the Winnemem Wintu lost 90% of their ancestral land. Now California wants to slap another 19 feet of concrete on top of the current build of the dam. If this were to happen, the raising of the dam would be a threat to holy places at the fork of McCloud River. Some of the tribe's traditional food sources, like salmon, were extinguished due to the blockage of the natural river flow. The government has made promises to create a tribal cemetery and replace the land that was lost due to the construction of the dam. The promises were never fulfilled.
Those allotments were trust lands. The tribal people lived on them, maintained farms on them, did their thing along the river as they always did, never having to leave. The unfortunate thing about it is that the government knew, starting in the early 1900s, that they were going to dam up the rivers. But they continued to give allotments to Winnemem people all the way up into the 20s, knowing that they would flood them at some point.
For many centuries, the Winnemem Wintu tribe have performed their rituals successfully. However, under the U.S. Forest Service, Mount Shasta has been a prospective commercial hotspot. The U.S. Forest Service recognizes the water from Lake Shasta as an important source of water for commercial activities such as irrigation. These additional uses of water in the lake would be a major threat to the Winnemem Wintu tribe. It would not only be a threat to their livelihoods, but to the other uses of the water in the lake would significantly impair their communal rituals. Common intrusions, including camping, boat riding, and fishing, would be detrimental to the ceremonial sites of the Winnemem Wintu. In response, members of the tribe have requested the U.S. Forest Service to close the river to facilitate the rituals. Increased use of Lake Shasta is a threat to the rituals of the Winnemem Wintu. This could mean that members of the community would lack essential commodities such as fish. The salmon fish are significant in the religious activities of the Winnemem Wintu. The use of irrigation would contaminate the waters of the lake as well as the McCloud River, directly impairing the survival of ecosystems. Irrigation would also lead to a threat to the forest that leaves the Winnemem Wintu sacred sites vulnerable. Opening the habitat of the Winnemem Wintu to campers and commercial fishermen would also be an intrusion to the ceremonial sites of the community. The burial sites of the community would be exposed, and it could tamper with the sacred trees and caves that are crucial for the religious activities of the Winnemem Wintu. The ancestral spirits that are known to cross the McCloud River during important ceremonies would be disturbed by commercial uses of the water. In 2012, members of the Winnemem Wintu had to postpone an important ritual due to disturbances by intruding fishermen.
Members of the Winnemem Wintu tribe occasionally engage in some communal rituals. One of these rituals is the Hupchonas. The coming-of-age ceremony involves singing and war dancing. Women sing while warriors perform war dances around the ceremonial fire in the forest around the McCloud River. A 4-day ceremony, held from dawn till dusk, where warriors dance around the fire and other tribe members sing heritage songs and play traditional music. For the rising of the Shasta Dam, the war dance, or Hupchonas, was performed for the first time in over 120 years, where they protested the construction of a fish hatchery on the McCloud River. Winnemem Wintu tribe members performed the war dance in protest against the rising of the Shasta Dam and to ask their creator for help in their moment of need. Feather headdresses are worn by the warriors, with ceremonial necklaces around their necks, with abalone shells over their heart for protection. They feast on acorn water for the duration of the 4-day ceremony. Hundreds of people showed up in support for the Winnemem Wintu, and the tribe gained worldwide recognition during their war dance ceremony.
The Wintu need our help. They cannot stop the raising of the dam or the disrespect that others show their rituals on their own. As voters, we can help to amplify their voices and help them get the waterways closed when they do their rituals and stop the raising of the Shasta Dam. Our state leaders need to be aware of the threat that they have imposed on a native people. This raising of the dam threatens to destroy their culture. Contacting your state representative with this is the best way to be heard, and raising the issue with our senators can help the Winnemem Wintu be recognized once again. Be heard, help the Wintu by helping to stop the further destruction of their land and their holy sites.
In addition to contacting officials to help the Winnemem Wintu tribe, please visit their website to print and send postcards, templates, tribal resolutions, and make donations to the nonprofit Indian Cultural Organization to help support Winnemem Wintu ceremonies.